Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Let go when emotional exhaustion occurs or frustration. So it's really about the people that have been through this for a while, or maybe life's just kind of grinding you down and yet you're still trying to do this LOA stuff, but you feel like it's just crushing weight. And what it does is it oftentimes puts us into a place where, one, of course, obviously we doubt whether this works. I mean, of course it seems like that. It's not that I agree with the conclusion, but of course it would seem like that at those dark moments. Or it's really challenging, and sometimes, it's darkest before dawn, right? Sometimes you see birds before land. And so a lot of times you can get yourself into a place through just sheer frustration, sheer exhaustion, and it becomes a challenge to find your way again. It becomes a challenge to know which way is the right way. It's like I'm so lost right now trying to get where I thought I was going that I'm all turned around and I don't even know which way I was going. I don't know And so sometimes at those moments it's best to take a small step back. And I've found, in all honesty, and this has happened to me plenty of times, but if it's something that I'm really focused on, and maybe I am getting a little grumpy because I'm not seeing forward progress maybe as fast as I'd like, or upward mobility as quickly as I'd like. That happens with a lot of us. Sometimes just kind of stepping back from it for a couple days is enough to give you a clear head, to clear your mind, to refocus on what matters, to spend some quality self-love time on yourself. Stop pushing outward for a moment and reflect a little while, because we will get very out of balance sometimes if we keep pushing out, and we're not really taking that time to kind of absorb in, reflect in, take in what's going on around us, process what's happening around us, because we're so focused on this, that these other couple things that need to happen maybe aren't happening. Maybe they're falling by the wayside, falling through the cracks. Maybe we're losing sight of the bigger picture. And maybe the success of this particular thing that we're trying to manifest is part of the bigger picture, but it's not the only part. So how do we see that maybe there's an imbalance, or maybe we've got some emotional exhaustion at play here? And first and foremost, if you back away from your manifesting for a day or two, it does not stop anything. And a lot of people might say, well, but aren't you slowing yourself down? And if you're frustrated and grumpy and that's where you're at right now, no, you're already slowing yourself down. In fact, maybe you've stopped yourself. Let yourself get away from it for a moment. Let your your mechanical wheel, let your manifestation wheel start spinning again in the direction you'd like to go anyways, right? Where we're focused. Let it start spinning that way. And then we can kind of start getting back into the daily things, where we'll start actually just noticing things, which is usually what happens when you let go. You start to see things happening around you. It just becomes apparent. So letting go for a couple days. How do we identify? What are some of the things that we should look out for that maybe are indicators? Lack of motivation. This happens to a lot of us. I just don't feel like doing stuff. I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't want to do it. I'm bored. Like, sometimes we are so into the thing that we have put all of this attention on, right? There's this outside influence, like I have to have Johnny or I'll never be happy, right? And so all of your happiness is placed on having this thing, and he has the ability to not let you be happy. Not maybe by conscious choice, maybe it's universe, maybe it's our self pushed out, right? Whatever. But whatever the case is, so long as there is a separation that's existing between you and him, well, that happiness is impossible. When the reality is, happiness comes from inside. What you manifest outside of yourself comes from inside yourself. So in order to get happiness in your life, you've got to basically send happiness out. It is truly a ripple effect. Nothing comes to you first. You send it out already. If you're unhappy with things happening to you, then make some changes internally and send out a different mojo, and you'll see what reflects back when you do that. So lack of motivation, a sure telltale way that maybe you're just too into the thing right now, and you need to spend a little time self-love, reflecting, what do I like, going on long walks, I don't know, something to kind of get you back into yourself and out of this funk that you could very apparently be in. Another one that you can often be unhealthy, right? Maybe you're sick a lot. Maybe you've been sick a lot. You're missing work. Maybe because you hate your job. There's some motivation right there, right? Some people are in jobs that they're not fond of, and maybe they're trying to manifest a new job. and you absolutely hate your current job. I know someone that comments pretty frequently that's going through a similar thing, and it seems like, at least that she's expressed, that it's taking a long time to get to this place where this new job happens. So yeah, these things can happen. Frustration can occur. And sometimes it's a good idea to just back away from the idea. Maybe wonder if there's another way around this obstacle or another place to go, if it's a work function, right? Who knows, right? Another one, avoiding responsibilities. This happens a lot. Don't want to pay bills, rather spend some money on something. Maybe it's making me feel good to do that, or paying attention to our animals, our loved ones, our kids. Maybe we're not giving them enough attention because we're so focused on trying to manifest this outcome, trying to use all my law of attraction mojo, all my skills, right? I shake when I actually do it, right? When I'm doing the imagining, I'm shaking. It's like a bad movie. Anyway, it should be funny. That being said, easily irritated is another one. Didn't mean to get you grumpy if you happen to be just right there. And I'm sorry about that. Sorry. Very grumpy. I know I went off on a tangent there for a moment. But that's another good sign that we could have, is we're easily irritated. Have you noticed that you just start snapping on people for no reason? What do you mean the skull's not fresh? Oh, I mean, yeah, sure, that's fine. Put it in the bag. How are we not reacting well to the situations around us, to people around us, to the world that we're a part of, to the people closest to us? Because oftentimes they're the ones we're going to lash out at the most. And certainly when you're in these funks, man, it's not a good place to be trying to manifest. Your mood, your energy, your whole vibe is not appropriate. What you're sending out, your ripple coming back to you is not so good. A lot of us, too, will sometimes experience high anxiety, high levels of anxiety, anxious all the time. Oh, my God, right? Like, I'm so worried about it. I'm always thinking about it. I'm so focused. Sometimes, dude, get some meditation. Take a deep breath. Step away. Step away from the manifestation. There's nothing to see here. Step away from the manifestation. It's okay. Give it a couple days. Give it 3 days. You will be more surprised, by the way, when you let go for a few days and just relax and chill and focus on yourself. And then you start seeing things again. I'm telling you, sometimes just getting the heck out of our own way is the more powerful technique. They talk about what are good techniques to do, Dan. Sometimes it's a good technique not to do. Sometimes that's a great technique. Overwhelming emotions. It's another one. Are you just kind of breaking down into tears for no reason sometimes? Or maybe, I would consider anger, spurts of anger to be into that, but we kind of covered that from another angle. But I would say also, like, I've had moments, right, where maybe the thought of somebody is just like overwhelms you with love and tears come. Like, I'm hoping that's not the same thing. Maybe it's just like I'm a guy, like, trying to describe emotion or something. Or maybe it's similar. I don't know. But like, of course, there's overwhelming in bad ways, and I think the more negative emotions would be just sorrow, anger, guilt, things, remorse, like those sorts of angers, those are angles, I should say, I think are not benefiting you. Versus, I'm crying tears of joy, happiness, like something so funny it made me laugh, like I almost peed myself, right? Like whatever, like all those things can happen. I've heard it, anyways. So yeah, trouble sleeping's another one. I will say this definitely happens to me. This is one of my telltales, is I find myself problem solving in my sleep. And it's funny. And I've got some odd repeating, like, geographic locations that I end up in. It just made me think of last night I had a weird dream. Not that I want to bore you with those details, but trouble sleeping sometimes will fall in line with being a little bit emotionally exhausted, being just physically exhausted, right? All those things are very, very common. Now, the other one would be trouble concentrating on... Yes, trouble concentrating. Not a good thing. You're trying to work on something. You got a project that needs to get done, yet your mind keeps wandering. You keep flowing off in other places. You keep thinking about them. You keep thinking about how you're not happy where things are at the moment. These things can definitely cause problems in any of your manifestation techniques. So again, if we're having these levels of exhaustion, if we're this frustrated in where we're at in this process, give yourself a little break. Take a little time off. It's something to consider for sure, and you'd be amazed what even a couple, 2-3 days can do just by spending a little time with yourself, getting yourself in a better place, getting your energy right, and then go and tackle the day or tackle this manifestation. Give yourself a vacation from it. You've probably been doing this crazy for a long time. Another thing, too, to keep in track, I meant to say this earlier, but for the kind of the more teacher-oriented out there, the people that are coaches and all those kinds of things. One thing for you guys to keep major tabs on, and this is a huge, huge thing to watch out for. The other angle that this can happen, your emotional frustration and stuff, is from giving energy to people. You give a lot when you coach sometimes, or especially when you're spiritual and you're channeling a lot and you're not really learning to take the energy back in and you're constantly pushing it out. You will find yourself extremely exhausted. So getting out of balance can happen from that direction too, just to throw that little curveball in at you for the teachers amongst us out there. So hopefully that helps all of you guys out there. When it's emotionally exhausting, when frustration's winning the day, give yourself a break. Just take a step back, take a pause for the cause, as they frequently say, and give yourself the best chance at success you can. And that's really by taking a step back. Refine your bearings. Figure out what you want. Figure out what matters. Reassess. Do I even want this anymore? Whatever. There's going to be invariable questions about where you're at right now. Let's just take stock in where we're at. It's frustrating. Something's not working right. Let's take a glance at it. Let's take a couple days off. Let's see what happens. Hopefully this helps. If you guys like what I do, please click the subscribe button. And if you want to support my channel, some of the best ways you can do that actually is by watching my videos, of course. Subscribing, sharing, liking, thumbs up, comments, all that good stuff, interacting with other people. YouTube loves that. So anytime you can do those kinds of things on my channel, that is super duper helpful. But if you're doing it on other people's channels, YouTube still wins. So in the end, that's a good thing too. Hopefully all of you guys found some benefit through this. I appreciate it. If you've got any further show ideas that you'd like to hear about, please leave them in the comments. I always enjoy that. And it's something that ends up in the old notepad, as I frequently like to point out. So thank you guys. Love you. And we will talk soon.